What's up, guys? Today I'm bringing you another replacement for Deoxys Defense in the switch position, and it's a familiar face. We're looking at Melmetal in the switch position instead of the closer. I actually think Melmetal is probably better suited for the switch position on this team than the closer. It's just much harder to find a replacement for Bastiodon than it is for Deoxys Defense. And Melmetal kind of runs, I would say, in between how Vigoroth runs and how G-Stunfisk runs. So you can play with shields up or shields down. Just because your charge moves are so fast. But without any further ado, let's take a look at how this team runs. I played these games nearly a week ago now as I was on vacation, so I haven't actually, I don't really remember exactly what happened. So this will be new to me as well. So we're going to see a Whimsicott here. Normally Shadow Victreebel does extremely well against Charmers. But just because it resists Charm, but Whimsicott is the only Charmer that also resists Shadow Victreebel. So I swap right into Melmetal, and they swap into G-Stunfisk. So normally this would be a problem. You'd think Melmetal doesn't do so well against G-Stunfisk because it's ground, but these superpowers add up. So I throw my first superpower right away. Most people don't think you're going to throw, like if you throw a move right away, they don't think you're using a superpower. They think you're using a Rock Slide. The reason that it's okay versus G-Stunfisk is because Thunderbolt is resisted anyways. The attack drop doesn't matter. And as you can see, I actually win back switch advantage against G-Stunfisk with Melmetal. And I'm not even down shields. So now I have switch advantage. I'm able to bring my Shadow Victreebel back into Azumarill. And I have to blow a shield here. I tried to swap to Bastiodon, it didn't work. And I'm able to get the swap off in time to catch this Grass Knot with Bastiodon. So we'll see if this is enough to deal with the Azumarill. I'm down a shield now. If the Azumarill is able to farm down Bastiodon and get an Ice Beam, then I'm going to be in a bit of trouble. But instead they don't shield the Stone Edge. And because they don't shield the Stone Edge, they're going to be put too low to be able to survive even a single Razor Leaf. I think if they had shielded the Stone Edge there, it would have been closer, but who knows, they probably thought I had a Leaf Blade stored up. But yeah, Melmetal showing exactly its worth in the very first game already. So Abomasnow, instant swap into Melmetal, and now I'm playing Melmetal into Azumarill. I don't really remember how this matchup goes, but I do remember that I'm going to use, I'm going to make a video about this. I keep promising you guys, but I'm going to keep using the pattern where I either use 1 Thunder Shock or 4 Thunder Shocks because they're a 2-turn fast move in between bubbles. So you see I should throw 1 Thunder Shock there so they don't get an extra bubble in. And Rock Slide. And the thing is with Melmetal is once you get a little bit of that energy advantage, you can actually, you get to charge moves way faster than Azumarill. So you can see here, I get the shield off on the Hydro Pump, and they're just going to let that through. And I've won switch advantage back against an Azumarill with Melmetal on the switch in. And they're going to let that Rock Slide through too. Melmetal just does an absolute ton of damage. This Sableye does have quite a bit of energy stored up. And I'm going to go with the Shadow Victreebel. And they blow it all on a return. Shadow Victreebel is down. This still looks like a bit of a tough matchup here. But it's an Abomasnow in the back. So this will be very close. Energy Balls from Shadow Abomasnow deal a ton of damage. It all depends on whether or not they can get to that second Energy Ball or not. I throw Charge Move here, even though it really doesn't matter. And we're going to see that they, I think, do get to a second Energy Ball here. Yeah, and KO Bastiodon. So very close game. Melmetal honestly did its job. I probably shouldn't have just let Shadow Victreebel faint to the Sableye. I probably should have done an instant swap to Bastiodon to try and catch that return. But you live and you learn. So they swap into Cresselia here. And usually with Cresselia, if it's Psycho Cut, I like to stay in and just force that win. But in this case, this Cresselia is running Confusion, so I have to get out of there right away. I've tried to farm down a Cresselia before with Bastiodon, and it doesn't work. You end up having to blow a shield, so that's why I end up using my charge move there. And I don't even undercharge, I just regular charge because look, this Grass Knot is going to take me very low. I think in hindsight, I probably should have swapped into to Melmetal instead, just in case I need to deal with Pokemon later. But I guess Melmetal deals better with Toxicroak marginally than Bastiodon does. So I'm going to go back into Victreebel. I still have 2 shields, but the problem is this Toxicroak has a lot of health, and they're going to swap into their very own Bastiodon. So this is going to be very interesting. Deoxys Defense would have been fantastic here, because I would have come into the next matchup with energy. But I realize I'm going to have to shield this Flamethrower or go down. I'm going to charge up a ton and then see if this Rock Slide is enough to faint the Bastiodon, and it is not, which is perfect. I get a little bit more energy, and I'm going to try and spam these Rock Slides down on this Toxicroak and see how much damage it does. Swap out and get that Leaf Blade instantly. Make sure I at least grab a shield here, and I do, and it's going to need to use a charge move to knock me out, and it's his only option there was to farm me down and bring those Mud Bombs into the matchup against Melmetal. So tried his best, but this is just another example of how Melmetal can kind of maneuver around unfavorable matchups, even though technically Deoxys Defense is probably better for that specific scenario. So instant swap into Melmetal here, and we have a Shadow Sableye. Usually you see these things purified, but I know I beat it to charge moves, so I have no problem trading shields here, and I'm still learning matchups too. So the best way to learn matchups is to play the 2 shield, but I see that it can take a Rock Slide and I can't take a foul play, so I'm just gonna let myself go down and come in with Bastiodon and farm down the Shadow Sableye. Unfortunately, it gets to another charge move. The general play is if you can come in with the Bastiodon right after, it is better, because then you can go up to a charge move, throw the charge move, and then swap into Shadow Victreebel and force them to swap into their counter. So they swap in and throw their energy right away. This is best case scenario for me, but it's still looking very bleak because they can just get to an energy ball here. So unfortunately, Melmetal not able to win that matchup versus Shadow Sableye. But then again, neither would Deoxys Defense or Vigoroth. Melmetal probably gave me a better chance, and I could have even maybe tried to stay in and see if I couldn't get to that like a final superpower or something like that. But I tried. That's all you can ask for. Yeah, Sableye, always one of those very strong Pokemon against this lineup if they win lead. Okay, so Galarian Stunfisk, huge threat to the rest of the team. I guess they're not Melmetal. Melmetal can actually deal with it decently, but I'd rather take it out with Victreebel. I let the Rock Slide through, but this is looking like it's doing a lot of damage to me. I think this is an attack-weighted Galarian Stunfisk, so I might actually lose switch advantage here. And actually, nope, we're going to go down at the same time. So I have shield advantage now, and they bring out Ludicolo right away. So I'm kind of unsure about what's going on here or what Ludicolo's matchups are. I think I let this through. Yeah, because I think Ludicolo runs Ice Beam and Energy Ball normally, so both resisted. And I'm just going to throw superpowers here. As you can see, I throw Thundershock and then a superpower because it's running Bubble, and then I just get out to reset the stats. So that's the main reason I want, when you have the choice, when it's like a simultaneous knockout like that, it's nice to go in the Melmetal because you can throw superpower, which hits so hard, and you can clear that debuff. So they're going to go into the Azumarill here. This is looking like an interesting situation. They're running a double water team in the back. I'm running a double steel team, so generally you'd think they have an advantage. But I'm going to shield up here. It's just an Ice Beam, but I really, really wanted to get that Stone Edge off. And I'm going to swap into Melmetal and just try and farm Azu down. I got a bit too scared, and I'm going to throw the Rock Slide. So in hindsight, looking back on these battles, I could have played that much better. That was a very, very scary matchup that probably shouldn't have had to be that scary. But I beat that Ludicolo to a charge move, and I'm able to get a 3 out of 5 on my first set here. And I would say Melmetal takes a little bit of getting used to, just because it's not a Pokemon you see commonly in Great League. Everybody knows what charge moves and what fast moves it runs, but nobody really knows the specific matchups in Great League yet. There's not too many of these Melmetals running around. So because of that, I don't really know how much damage the charge moves do. I know a little bit because of the last Melmetal team I ran, but a lot of people don't. We have Swampert, and they swap out into Tropius, and I'm going to go into Melmetal here. So Tropius, one of those Pokemon, one of the flyers that Melmetal actually deals with better than Bastiodon. And that's because Bastiodon doesn't resist grass because of its rock typing, whereas Melmetal does. So you see those Leaf Blades do pretty much nothing. I'm going to take another one. I don't mind getting a bit lower because I know I'm going to get one shot by the Swampert anyways if I let through a charge move. So I'm just going to charge up a little bit while I'm taking these low damage hits from Tropius, and I'm going to try and throw Superpower as soon as I can against the Swampert. Might have wanted to charge up a bit more because, as I forgot, this debuffs my defense. So he can just farm me down. Although I might have actually saved myself a bit of energy, and he swaps into Skarmory. So the double flyer team, while it does have some play against this team normally with something like Deoxys Defense, if there's a Altaria that can deal with the Deoxys Defense in the back, then you run into some trouble. Or Altaria or Tropius. So in this case, Melmetal is actually able to cover this much better. Same with G-Stunfisk in this case would also be able to do the same thing, although it's also weak to grass. So Melmetal has that specific advantage in this one scenario. I'm just gonna throw the shield here. I know I can farm this guy down. He throws a Sludge Wave. That was his Hail Mary, hoping it would go through. So pick up a win against a double flyer team. Honestly, the double flyer team is pretty solid. Completely counters Caleb Peng's team, which is pretty common. There's just a lot of grass in general, and really the only main counters running around are Bastiodon, G-Stunfisk, and you don't see them on the same team generally. So I do think those teams have a lot of play. I just don't have many flyers powered up myself. We see Deoxys Defense there. I'm not going to spend my Leaf Blade because I don't think he's running Psycho Boost. It's kind of a gamble. Once you see the Rock Slide, there's like a decent chance it's just Rock Slide Thunderbolt. Because if they have Psycho Boost, they usually just go for 2 Psycho Boosts. But sometimes they can bite you as well. But in this case, they bring in the G-Stunfisk, which is fantastic for me. I need all the Leaf Blades I can get here to try and take him down, and I do manage to, but I have no shield. So third Pokemon comes in, it's Azumarill. Yeah, I wouldn't say Melmetal is going to do anything this game. I might bring him in just for kicks, but as you can kind of see, Shadow Victreebel kind of won that game by himself. I kind of wanted to see just how much, oh no, Hydro Pump does, but they are running Play Rough, Ice Beam, I'm assuming. So that was a very easy game. Their team does not deal well with Shadow Victreebel if played right. If the player doesn't shield or play Shadow Victreebel correctly there, then you can run into some issues. So Altaria, this is not a good lead. Swap into Melmetal, and they're going to swap into Swampert. So I think I remember this game. No, I let a Hydro Cannon through because I know I can. And I let it through before I debuff myself with Superpower. That's important. And then I can throw these Superpowers. And Superpower does a ton of damage. This Swampert lets these Superpowers through, and I'm going to get a third Superpower off. So I'm either going to force a shield from this Swampert, or they're going to give me Switch Advantage. So with an Altaria, I have Switch Advantage, and it's 2 shield. That's absolutely incredible. I don't think any other Pokemon I run in that position can really win Switch Advantage back from Swampert reliably. Unfortunately, we're still in a lot of trouble because Registeel is extremely good against the rest of this team. I charge up to a Sludge Bomb to try and fake the Acid Spray. And this is one of those situations where if I actually did have Acid Spray, I'd be in a much better situation. I still haven't gone around to trying Acid Spray over Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bombs just come in handy a bunch of times, taking out Altaria at the end of the game. But Registeel is going to finally take out my Shadow Victreebel, and I gotta hope that Bastiodon can take out this Registeel before he gets to a Flash Cannon, a Focus Blast, and he indeed does not. He's going to swap into the Altaria, and at this point, I think it is a bit too late. Yeah, so I won't be able to finish that Altaria off. 1 hit away from being able to win this game. Kudos to my opponent. He saw the Melmetal, but still knew there was a Bastiodon in the back, and gave up Switch Advantage to keep shield advantage, or keep even shields, because he knew Registeel could handle both of those Pokemon. So Mew in the front. This is a pretty good matchup for Shadow Victreebel, but they swap into Shadow Mawile. So Shadow Mawile, if you guys have been paying any attention at all to any of my videos, is an absolute monster. I've had nothing that can really deal with it. I charge up to a bunch of Superpowers on Melmetal. I'm going to throw them one after another, and hopefully one or two of them goes through, but they double shield here. So I'm in a bit of trouble. They're going to get another power-up punch off. At least Melmetal was able to grab 2 shields. I'm forced to shield here, power-up punch, because this thing is super powered up, 4 times super effective. Even if it really normally tickles, it's going to deal a lot of damage. So they're going to go into Mew, which is very odd to me. That means that they don't have something better against Bastiodon than Mew. So I tanked the Flame Charge. I kind of had to call that bait. I'm not sure if it was a bait. I'm not sure what the other move is. But out comes Umbreon. And this game is going to be down to the wire. I'm going to get to a Leaf Blade, which is absolutely huge. This is the only way I can possibly win. I'm going to try it. He's going to try and farm me down, but I think he realizes near the end that it's not going to happen. And we are going to be down to the very last moves. CMP tie. And unfortunately for him, I can get that Stone Edge off. And that's game over. So very, very close game. Winning against Shadow Mawile with this kind of team is pretty unheard of. The fact that Melmetal is able to grab 2 shields with superpowers is absolutely fantastic. We're going to see another Altaria lead, saw a lot of these, and that's okay. So they swap into Obstagoon. Counter users, obviously pretty good against Melmetal. I shield just in case, and I built to a couple superpowers. So superpowers 4 times super effective versus Obstagoon. You can see I'm building to more superpowers. I'm at 2 stored right now, so I can get at least 1 through a shield. And we're going to see how much damage this does. I'm now double debuffed though. It still hits really hard, so I'm able to break 2 shields and get this Obstagoon very low. And as I've said before, once you get them low, it doesn't matter if they're a counter user, bring in Bastiodon, charge up to a charge move, throw that charge move, and then get out of there. So that, oh no, what am I doing? Get out of there. I think I can take down the Azumarill, maybe? No, I'm going to swap in. I wanted them to use their energy, so I didn't have to shield an Ice Beam. Maybe I could shield a Hydro Pump instead. That makes sense. But I bring in the Shadow Victreebel to bait out the Altaria, and there's a ton of lag there for both of us, I think, it seems. But I should be able to just farm down this Altaria, hopefully. It's actually very, very close. Yeah, they're not going to get to another charge move because they went for Dazzling Gleam. And I'm going to throw this Stone Edge at this Azumarill, and the rest is history. So yet another close game. Honestly, this is a very exciting set. If I was able to flip that earlier game, it would have been probably one of the... Actually, that would have probably been the best 5-0 I ever would have had. That was a lot of good plays and a lot of interesting matchups as well from that set. But once again, you can flip the script on a lot of these traditional counters for steel types just because of superpower. Like a lot of these like Swamperts and Obstagoons, you have the chance to win back switch advantage. And against Pokemon like Registeel, you can still deal with Registeel decently well. So this is obviously the double Razor Leafer line. I'm just going to get some energy on my Victreebel and then swap into Bastiodon because I know Bastiodon actually deals very well with Shadow Victreebel. He baits me though, and I shield the Acid Spray, so that's a bad start. I wasn't counting charge moves, and then I don't even get the Flamethrower off before Scrafty KOs me because of the Acid Spray. So this game is looking extremely rough already. I've already made a ton of misplays. I'm going to have to shield here to keep Shadow Victreebel alive. I was thinking maybe he was using a power-up punch, but they're going to go into Bastiodon, and I'm going to tank a Flamethrower because I know I can. I'm going to charge up to as many superpowers as I feel comfortable with, and I'm going to try and bait with the Rock Slide because I think that is my only chance at winning, and I messed that up. So charge back up to some superpowers. Let's see if I can get this through. I can, and this Scrafty is not going to go down from that superpower anyways, and unfortunately for me, I'm not going to get to that Leaf Blade. So that's me playing myself. I don't usually bait very often in general. I don't mess around with Rock Slides. I just throw the superpowers, and that's kind of why a missed bait hurts a lot more than than just getting shielded, because like at the very minimum you get the shield. So this is a Bullet Seed Cherrim. Bullet Seed Cherrim actually does really well against this team, but they swap out very luckily. I decided to throw this Leaf Blade first. Maybe I should have saved it for the Cherrim later, but they get very low, and I swap into Melmetal. In hindsight, this is a bit of a questionable swap. I'm not sure why I didn't go into the Bastiodon in the first place, but I guess maybe this is why. I think Melmetal can deal better with or Bastiodon can deal better with Cherrim, but that might not even be true, because because that's why, because Bastiodon resists Weather Ball Fire. Weather Ball Fire kind of tickles, but Solar Beam does a ton of damage. So I'm gonna let this charge me through. I know I can survive one of whatever. The problem is I know he has more than one stored up, so I'm gonna have to blow my shield here. And now I'm a shieldless Bastiodon versus Cherrim with a shield. Solar Beam really, really, really hurts. If they charged up to it, they don't. Yeah, so I don't know why this Cherrim didn't charge up to Solar Beam. Because Solar Beam, I think 2 Solar Beams take out Bastiodon, but instead it's going for Weather Balls, and that kind of actually saved my game. Maybe he only has Weather Ball learned, only 1 move on this Cherrim, but I'm going to throw Flamethrowers. This Stunfisk can't really farm me down, I don't think. I think he's forced to throw a charge move to take it on the Bastiodon, but I like to sacrifice the Victreebel anyways, and try and get to that Flamethrower before that Stunfisk gets to another Mud Bomb, but I end up farming him down instead. So I ended up making the right move there. Obviously, Melmetal is not very good into Hypno, but I got the Leaf Blade damage through, so Melmetal is not bad. It's just that the Bastiodon is much better into the Sunny Cherrim. So this is a really weird matchup. If you guys are paying attention, this guy's using Lick. So he doesn't even have counter. And then he swaps into Altaria. So this might be the easiest matchup of all time. Hopefully I'm not jinxing myself because this match has already been played. But like this Obstagoon can't even come in and farm down Bastiodon, as he has Lick. Bastiodon is loaded. I've only spent 1 shield. Obstagoon's at half. And they're going to come with Meganium. Okay, I remember this. I thought Obstagoon was coming back in for sure, so I Stone Edge. And unfortunately, because I Stone Edge, does way less damage than a Flamethrower would. And this Meganium is just going to try and farm me all the way down. I'm going to let it through. I know it's a Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant's enough to KO. And I'm going to swap into Melmetal. And let him go down as well. I just want to get rid of this Meganium's energy so that I can clean up this Obstagoon, this Lick Obstagoon with my Victreebel, just in case I need that shield. So Melmetal, while you can say it didn't really do anything there, Steel type, baiting out the Earthquake, baiting out all that energy from Meganium is actually very important. But yeah, that Lick Obstagoon into Altaria play, that game should not have been that close. They're going to start with the Medicham, and then out comes Registeel. So I'm actually going to elect to stay in here with Victreebel and at least try and get a Leaf Blade off. And they shield it, so I'm going to go into Melmetal. Now that they have a shield down, I know I can at least very easily get a superpower through if I need to. I'm going to shield the Focus Blast because that's a one-shotter very close. And I'm going to start superpowering here. So superpower, and they swap out. And they're going to catch the superpower too. I honestly probably should have Rock Slid, but that's okay. Superpower does more damage. I should have debuffed myself earlier. Now I'm throwing Rock Slides. I don't know why I should be throwing. I should have reversed those. But I swapped Bastiodon in, so this is a brave move. I really think they're Ice Punching, so I swap in Bastiodon, and then I come in with the Shadow Victreebel to eat that Ice Punch damage, and Shadow Victreebel survives and takes out Medicham. So I'm still in a bad position, but it's a much better position because I managed to catch that Ice Punch with Bastiodon. So like switching Bastiodon into Medicham, for example, is not something you would normally do, but it just shows that like there is a lot of things you can do with this team. It's not just about following the formula. You need to like be thinking about what you're doing. And I lose this CMP tie with the Muck, Dark Pulse. But I get the Stone Edge off, and I know this Registeel is very low, but not low enough. Lock On is a 1-turn move, and I get Lock On down, so another very close game. I think that's the thing I've really liked about the Melmetal switch, and why I think it's actually really good. All of these games I've lost have either been, I would say, misplays on my part, or very, very close games. So Melmetal's pretty much giving me a chance to win every single one of these games. They're swap into Altaria. I'm going to swap into Bastiodon, because Bastiodon absolutely crushes Altaria compared to Melmetal. Even if they're running a double flyer setup, I think I would rather have Bastiodon against Altaria in most cases anyways. And they're going to come in with Empoleon. So we're back in with Empoleon, and they're not going to want to take too many charge moves from Bastiodon. I think they want to farm him down so that, or they should want to farm him down so they can come in with some drill pecks on the Shadow Victreebel, but they drill peck the Bastiodon. So yeah, I'm really unsure what is supposed to happen here. I think as soon as they swapped into the Altaria and removed the only Shadow Victreebel counter, this game was kind of over. So they're gonna play it out. Liquid Sports, unlike me, but it's again Empoleon into Shadow Victreebel. It's one of those squishy water types that isn't weak to grass, but you still beat very handily as you resist its fast move. I do think Empoleon is actually a super underrated Pokemon in Great League, though. Its moveset is just really good. Hydro Cannon is just nuts, and its typing is interesting, so it can throw a lot of teams off. But I think, yeah, people just like to follow the meta and follow teams, so there's a lot of things Pokemon you don't see that are honestly pretty good. Okay, so Galvantula, they're going to throw a lunge after 3 Volt switches. I'm going to shield. This matches very formulaic. I'm going to throw a Leaf Blade in the middle of their 6 Volt switch to force an overtap. Here, see if it works, and it doesn't. So I would say it works only about 75% of the time. They get it off. It wouldn't matter anyways. I don't think this Galvantula had a bit too much health left. And they're going to go into Galarian Stunfisk. I'm going to swap out of Galarian Stunfisk into Melmetal, and this guy counts moves very well, swaps out into Azumarill, unfortunately, and I still use the superpower. So now I'm debuffed. If I wasn't debuffed, I would be doing a lot more damage to this Azumarill, and this Azumarill wouldn't be just like free to farm me down. At this point, even if I had shields, I would just let Melmetal go, but they undercharged there to try and get more energy. I see the Play Rough come out on the Melmetal though, and I realize that they probably aren't running Hydro Pump, so that's why I swapped into Bastiodon there. Also, Bastiodon just doesn't do very well against Galarian Stunfisk, and we're going to see a Rock Slide come out here, and this game is pretty much over. So unfortunately, I misplayed that very bad. It's a common theme in a lot of these losses. You can see they caught the superpower, and an opponent catching a superpower on the wrong Pokemon is awful. So they swap into Registeel, Swampert into Registeel. Saw a lot of Registeels on this day. It's still a very strong Pokemon. I don't know why people gave up on running it after Galarian Stunfisk came out, but they're gonna let the Leaf Blade through, which means with nerf Registeel, I'm just gonna win this with 2 shields. So I might be down 2 shields to 0, but this team is still very based around switch advantage, and Melmetal is pretty good at taking down shields anyways. I'm going to come out of this with the Leaf Blade. Whatever comes in, that's not a flyer, they're probably going to want to shield this Leaf Blade anyways. And guess what? It's Skarmory. So Skarmory comes into Swampert, so it's baiting the Swampert out for me. As long as I can eliminate the Swampert. Yeah, see, I throw a superpower pretty close to right away, and they don't shield the first one, so they're very low. I think they're trying to get some energy to throw at Shadow Victreebel as well, but all I need is 1 attack, and I'm going to get to this. I'm going to throw my Leaf Blade first anyways, just to burn their last shield, and we'll see what they have stored up here. So yeah, it's a Sludge Wave. Perhaps I should have swapped into my Bastiodon, but I remember this game, but they make a really brutal mistake here. Shadow Swampert could have just won the game just by getting a Hydro Cannon off on Bastiodon, but instead they elect to go into Skarmory to allow my Bastiodon to farm it down. This person probably would have won this game like without the Skarmory at all. Swapping in absolutely lost the game. I've learned from my past mistakes. Stone Edge does more damage than Flamethrower since it's resisted, single resisted, as is Flamethrower by the Shadow Swampert, and that's enough to take him out. So that looks like a pretty bleak scenario, but managed to turn it around. Unovan Stunfisk, very good lead, and they stay in really, really long. I debate shielding. I know I can't get KO'd, but if they're staying in with Unovan Stunfisk, I feel like they have something in the back weak to Shadow Victreebel. So I want to stay in to preserve health, and I'm not sure if that ends up being a good idea or not yet, but it is a Toxicroak, and that is one of the Pokemon that Shadow Victreebel needs to be relatively healthy to deal with. So I'm just going to let everything go through. Melmetal was here to force a shield and to bait out the Toxicroak. And as you can see, I have a lot of energy because I was able to farm down this Unovan Stunfisk. I'm going to throw a Leaf Blade, and they're actually going to let it through. So I don't even have to get to the second Leaf Blade. I think they might have thought it was an Acid Spray because I was able to farm so much. So that's just one of the benefits of Shadow Victreebel over the other Razor Leafers, is you're just so versatile. Just like I'm not running Leaf Tornado or Acid Spray, but other people run it. And because of that, they have to respect the Acid Spray or Leaf Tornado. So there's a lot of times that my Leaf Blade doesn't get shielded, even though it absolutely should. And they're going to swap into Deoxys Defense. I like to stay in versus Deoxys Defense. They're going to throw a Rock Slide here. I think that they are not running Psycho Boost because they didn't throw double Psycho Boost. But they go straight into Altaria, and I'm going to go into Melmetal. So at this point, this is looking very, very good for me. They're locked in with Melmetal right now. Otherwise, I think they would be swapping out, and that would be even better. But that's fine. As long as I can match up Azumarill Altaria with Bastiodon at the end, everything is fine. I just don't want this Azumarill to be able to farm me down too much. The thing is, when Azumarill farms you down, the max they can get to is 2 Ice Beams. And because they have to throw energy, they can only have 1. I know that Shadow Victreebel can now take out this Azumarill without using more than 1 shield. I throw the Charge Move just to be safe, and they don't expect the Bastiodon. So that's the other thing about this. I released that Melmetal closer video earlier. If some people have watched it, or you guys have been running Melmetal as a closer, people expect that when I bring out the Melmetal, that is my pair with Shadow Victreebel, and it's not the swap, and there's no Bastiodon. So in this case, I probably should have swapped earlier, as both my Pokemon on the back deal well with it, but there's nothing more satisfying than Sludge Bombing a Tropius. Like, this is the best feeling in the world, and we'll see if it happens. It does not, so worth a shot. I'm going with Melmetal, resist the Razor Leafs, and it stays in. So interesting choice. I'm wondering if they don't have anything good in the back, but they do actually have Galarian Stunfisk, and now their shield's down. I'm counting moves. I don't want them to get to an Earthquake. I want to be able to throw these superpowers first and really chunk it down. If I get 2 superpowers off, that's fantastic. Now it's extremely low. I can just take that out with Shadow Victreebel. Except they do the smart thing, throw the Rock Slide. So I'm going to go in with Bastiodon, and they might have enough for Earthquake here, and they do. So this was a brutal mistake from me. I don't know what I was doing. And they're going to come with Licky Licky. So this would have been a pretty tough matchup anyways, as Licky Licky does run Earthquake. So if I had shielded the Earthquake, Licky Licky probably would have gotten to 1 as well. As you can see, I'm going to get the Sludge Bomb off actually eventually, and look at that, feels good, but this Licky Licky is loaded. I need to get to that Stone Edge, and I think even if they threw a Body Slam there, it was game over. So I don't know how I did in that set. I wasn't paying attention. So another 3. So I don't think any of those sets were losses. Another just very consistent swap. If I had played better, I would have probably won a lot more games. And once again, I just want to reiterate that a lot of people don't know the Great League Melmetal matchups, so you might win a lot of swaps that you're not comfortable with. Whoa. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Let me know if you have any more comments. There's one more video to come, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Before I release the post about accessibility, making this team that's got me to the front page of the leaderboards 3 times more accessible to everyone, to kind of just help the dwindling GBL population. It's been no surprise that it's dwindling, just because they've had to increase the ratings more and more to kind of get people to hit rank 10. So yeah, just one more, and it's another non-razor leafer lead. It's Meganium, and I'll be making that video probably tomorrow morning when I get a little bit of time here. My Meganium is awful IVs, so it just goes to show you don't need good IVs. But once again, thanks for watching.